And it'd be great to see. All right, looks like we're getting a lot of folks from California.
Yeah, all over.
Oh, in Alabama. Bolivia, welcome.
Whoa.
Welcome. Oh gosh, we've got some folks all over Florida. Oh, so it's late for some of you. Thank you for making this some time in sketching, journaling skills, beginning drawing skills, drawing better, inspiration. All right, practice, new technique, continued journaling, observational skills. Awesome. Well, you're in the right place tonight. Oh, some of you have made it here for the second time. Alabama. Oh gosh, Ray Bonto. Hi, Ray Bonto. It's 1:30 a.m. Oh my goodness, you are up late. From London. And let's see, someone wants to journal as a family. John, yay. Wanting to improve sketching skills. Okay, great. I just wanted to get a read on what you are looking for. And let's see, I think I'm going to hand it over to Julia, who's going to start with the beginning of our show.
Yeah.
And before we do that, Nicole Rodney is here, and some of you may have noticed her. She is our tech support today, so she's going to be in the back. And if you have any questions, you can type it into the chat, and she can help gather some questions so that we can get some of them answered. If you have questions about the museum at all, feel free to chat with Julia, who goes by the name of Museum of Natural History, so it can easy to find her.
Yes.
And yeah, because I'm going to be talking and sketching, so I won't be able to answer any of your direct questions in chat. So that's why Nicole is going to be here to help out. All right, so with that, I'm going to hand it over to you, Julia.
Great. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining us from all over. We definitely appreciate it. I'm just going to share my screen really quickly and tell you a little bit more about us. Okay, so just real quick so we can get to some journaling. I'm Julia with Pacific Grove Museum of Natural History. Since we can't join in our building today, we're going to go ahead and pretend like we are. So this here, if you've never been, is the front of our building with our famous Sandy the Whale out front. You can't miss us on Grand Avenue. And then when you walk inside, you have here our main gallery. So we have our grizzly bears, skunks, small mammals, culture, geology, you name it. And then when you go to the other side of the museum, we have, of course, our infamous monarchs. So Pacific Grove, if you don't know, is known as Butterfly Town, USA. We happen to be situated in an overwintering site. So we, as the museum, get to operate the Monarch Sanctuary, which you can kind of see here. So the Monarch Sanctuary is where some of the monarchs get to overwinter. You can mostly start to see them in November, usually through January, February. I wanted to show you this little infographic for those who have never been to the area. So the Eastern monarch migration is kind of one of the more popular ones seen from Michoacan, Mexico. They come from the central and eastern part of the U.S. And then we also have the Western monarchs, which we see here on the Pacific coast. So this is a cool little infographic to see kind of where they come from and how we are one of the popular overwintering sites. So we oversee the sanctuary here, and unfortunately, most of you know that the monarch population numbers have declined significantly the past few years. We're seeing about 1% of the populations that we used to. There are definitely a lot of ways that we can help and get involved with. We are partnered with the Xerces Society, which we will post the link for them for further resources on how we can get involved. Small changes like buying organically instead of non-organic, which does promote pesticide use. Planting native pollinator plants and milkweed if you're far away from an overwintering site, and just small little things like that we can do to help save our monarchs. And so with that, I just wanted to thank so much, Melinda Nakagawa, for partnering with us, and Nicole for being here on the call with us as well. We are so fortunate to share such a similar mission of inspiring stewardship of our natural world, inspiring discovery and wonder. And so we're very fortunate that we're able to partner with you. And if you're interested in supporting our missions and supporting what we do, and so we can continue inspiring and educating, I went ahead and put the links here for you to donate and support Melinda with Spark in Nature, or support the Pacific Grove Museum of Natural History. And so with that, I'll go ahead and stop sharing here. So Melinda, you can go ahead and take it away for us.
All right. Let's see. I'm going to share. Okay, I'm gonna share my desktop. All right, let's see. Thank you so much for that introduction. Actually, you covered a whole bunch of things that are really great for some foundational understanding for monarchs. Yeah, a little bit about me. I have Spark in Nature, and you can find out sparkinnature.com. You can sign up for the newsletter or get more events. I do nature journaling. Right now, it's all online, and so you can zoom in from wherever you are. So check my events for different opportunities for you to join me for more journaling. Let's see. All right, so I'm going to go through just some basics about what nature journaling is, and then we'll go dive into how do we sketch some butterflies. So the focus for today is like really giving you a foundation on nature journaling, giving you strategies on how to go out into nature and observe nature, record what you see using words, pictures, and numbers. And that's basically, you know, what nature journaling is. So an example of one of my pages here is from a live stream of wild bears, because we couldn't go out to Alaska. So, you know, you can use live streams, you can use photographs, you can use look out your window if you can't go outside, or you can go out into your backyard. For the last 5 months, I've done a lot of nature journaling in my garden and in my neighborhood, and I've gotten to know my local place so much better. And I start to see things that I never noticed before. And so this is my wish for you, that if you have not started nature journaling, that this will inspire you to do this on your own and start to see the wonder and joy and curiosity that's all around us. So first of all, when we're observing nature, we're looking more carefully, we can use a prompt called I notice. There's going to be 3 prompts. So the first one is I notice. So you can put this in your notebook. I notice is like one prompt. I'll just put it on mine. So I notice. And these are things that you notice while you're looking at nature. And here's some nature journal examples of nature journal pages where this nature journaler drew some pictures, put lots of words on there, and counted things. And they're writing down what they notice. And we also tap into our curiosity. So while we're out in nature and we're looking at things, you start to wonder. Some questions pop up. So you might think, gosh, you know, that's a really weird bill on that on that bird. What does it use it for? How does it eat? Or like, why are those things doing that? Or why does it have such a weird shape? Those are great questions to put in your nature journal, and it gets us to starts us to get really curious. And when we get curious, we start to see more in nature, and we'll start to remember more things too. So the next prompt is I wonder. So put that on the top of your page in case you forget, and then you just fill in the blank with whatever you're wondering, any questions. And sometimes the first questions might seem, there's never a question that's not, that's too silly. You know, just put them all down, because once we start asking questions, we'll start to uncover more and more mysteries in nature. And the third piece here is connections, making connections with what we see. So when we start to notice something and say, oh my gosh, that reminds me of, and you fill in the blank. So it might remind you of I don't know, something that's another piece of nature. It might remind you of a memory that you have had from a long time ago. It might remind you of a smell. It might remind you of something else that's not natural. Maybe, you know, something that's mechanical. And so, you know, any of those connections, you can write those down in your journal too. And you can see these examples. There's words are all over the page. So when the nature journaler is looking at something and sketching it, they just write down whatever they notice and what it reminds them of. Okay, and we use in nature journaling, we use, I'll call 3 languages, so 3 ways of communicating things. And oftentimes we might think of nature journaling, the first thing that comes to your mind might be drawing, which is part of what we do. But nature journaling is not about making a pretty picture. That's not the goal of nature journaling. The goal of nature journaling is for us to observe nature and to start to see things in a more careful and deeper way. And when we draw what we see, we get a little bit more clarity in what's going on in the flower in front of us or on the butterfly that we're looking at. And so we're going to combine words like answering, I notice, I wonder, it reminds me of. Draw some pictures or sketches or little diagrams. They don't have to be finished drawings. So you don't have to be an artist or a scientist or a naturalist to do nature journaling. That's the great news, right? You don't have to have any of those skills. All you need to be able to do is to have an open mind, be curious, and observe nature. So that's what we're going to do today, and the focus today is going to be monarchs, and I'm going to show a couple of the photos from the museum exhibits, but you're going to have to come down to Pacific Grove to see the rest of the exhibits because they have an awesome collection. And I'm going to use some photographs of butterflies to supplement because they're not really around for us to see them live right now. Okay, and it's just samples of different styles of nature journals. So basically all you need to start is a piece, something to write with, a pencil, and you know, just one of these, recognize these yellow pencils. I have this in my nature journal kit. Just one of these, doesn't have to be anything fancy. I also have a mechanical pencil that I use. I like the sharp point. And then a piece of paper. That's all you need to start. And that paper, if it's stapled or bound so it doesn't get lost, would be really great. If you can put them in a notebook, or if you have a journal, that's even better. Like I have the spiral bound journal here. You can have a hard bound or a spiral bound. And that way you keep all the pages together so you don't lose them. And the cool thing is that you can see how you progress over time. And drawing is a skill. So I want to say, those of you who are a little nervous about drawing, don't worry, right? Your drawing is going to get better with practice. And so I like to say that the more we focus on the process of observing. So it's really more important, how are we observing and recording, and not about how the page turns out. So even though the page might turn out really nice, sometimes it might turn out like in a way that we're not happy, and that's okay. As long as you've done the journaling, you've observed and drawn, you're good. And the more that you do that, the better your pages are going to get. All right, so today's topic is monarchs, and like Julia has mentioned, we're the butterfly capital in Pacific Grove, and this is a photo of one of the really amazing exhibits that they have. It's really like it really catches your eye. There's a whole bunch of these butterflies that are in the case, and you can see the similarities and the diversities between individuals. And Pacific Grove is one of the overwintering sites, and that means that they come down, as Julia showed the map, that they migrate, and they make this amazing migration on the western population along the western coast of the United States, and they stop in the winter between September and February in a few different groves, and the closest grove to us is just a walk away from the Pacific Grove Museum, and they gather here in clusters, and they hang on the branches of the eucalyptus. So you can see in this picture that there's some eucalyptus leaves. You can barely see them because there's so many butterflies hanging on them. And you might ask, wait, I thought monarchs were orange and black. Well, yeah, they are orange and black, except when they close their wings, they're a paler color, and that's what you're seeing here. And so they'll hang out here in the winter, and that's when we get to see the skies are filled with butterflies. And here's another map from the Xerces Society, and later we'll put a link in there so that you can go and visit the Xerces Society, and they're protecting invertebrates, which are butterflies are among them, and you'll see lots of resources there. So just a few little pictures about their life cycle. So here is a caterpillar, and the female monarchs will lay their eggs on milkweed plants. They need to have milkweeds plants in the places where they are breeding. And so there are several different breeding sites along their migration corridor. And there's actually, the cool thing about these migrations is, like, because I know we know a lot of things migrate, right? Like there's whales that migrate, there's birds that migrate, other kinds of animals that move long distances, and the same individual goes back and forth every year. Well, the incredible thing about monarchs is that they make this migration piecemeal. So one individual does not make the whole migration. In fact, for a one-year migration, there are several generations of monarchs that make that. So how do they know where to go? I mean, it's such a mystery. So that's one of the really amazing things about monarchs. So here's a caterpillar, the larval stage, and it goes through several different stages. And after it finishes being the caterpillar, eating milkweed leaves, it'll go into this J formation, and it'll start to turn itself into a cocoon, and it'll stay in the cocoon for a period of time. And here's a photograph of the cocoon, which is really beautiful. The pupa is green with these golden spots, and the museum has live samples of these when they're open. So when you come for a visit, that'll be a really neat treat to see some of these. They'll emerge, and most of the monarchs will only live a few short weeks, but except for one generation, which is the one that overwinters here in Pacific Grove and Santa Cruz in our area. They will live for I think about 6 months or a little bit longer to make it through the winter and until the weather warms up so that they can breed. So here is a photograph of a monarch butterfly, and this is the top part of the butterfly, and this is the underneath part of the butterfly. And one thing that you might notice here, I'm going to show you another picture of monarch. Okay, here's another monarch. What do you notice that's different about? Does anyone notice anything different about this monarch here and this monarch over here? You can
wings different position.
Yeah, different positions, right? Okay, so check out the wings, right? So these wings stick up. Like, where's the head? And those are the top wings. And you can see there's a separation between that. You can see the full top and the bottom wing. And this one, they're overlapped. Okay, so I'll tell you the difference. The difference is these are dead. So the monarchs on the right-hand side are, they're pinned. They're specimens that were from a museum. And entomologists will usually spread out the wings so that you can see them all, right? Because they want to be able to identify and see all the parts of the insect. So if you see a butterfly with its wings splayed out like this, it's a dead butterfly. So you're learning a little bit about butterflies today. And if the wings are, they usually don't spread them beyond their head very much for live butterflies. So this on the left is the live monarch, and on the right is the dead monarch. All right, and here's another picture of a live monarch. Actually, I'm going to go back, and I think what we'll do is, while we're going, so I have a whole bunch of monarch pictures. We'll talk a little bit about them as we're going through, but I think I want to start sketching. Are you guys up for that? All right, so hopefully you are. You have your paper and a pencil, and I'm going to start doing some sketching. So we're going to pretend like we're out together and we're seeing these monarchs, and they're holding unusually still so that we can see so we can see them. And I'm going to walk through what I would do on a nature journal page with you. Okay, so I'm going to start with, I think I'm going to start with the museum specimen over on the right. And so what I do is I take really light pencil lines. So I hold my pen very lightly and I do some gesture sketches, so some really light lines. So I'm gonna, oh, actually, before we do that, every nature journal page has metadata. We wanna make sure we put that on here before we start drawing. So I'm gonna put on the top of mine, today's the date. So today is the 28th of August. And I'm going to put the year, because you might want to come back to this page sometime. Maybe this is your first nature journal page, and then, you know, a month from now you want to come back and see what happens, you know, on your first page. And so I'm going to put the date, and I'll put the time. It's 5:52 p.m. And then I'm going to do what our activity. So nature journaling with PG Museum, and you can put Melinda, and this way you'll remember this date. Okay, and then maybe I'm going to put monarchs today. And then on this page, you can put whatever notes that you heard that were interesting, little tidbits of information. And so the nature journal page is not going to be a piece of art, so don't worry about where you write everything. It doesn't matter, right? Just write it wherever you feel like, because hopefully you're going to draw lots more pictures and lots more pages. So I think I'm going to start with the one on the right. And oh, the other thing you notice, or you may notice, that there is some symmetry about these butterflies, right? So I might start with the middle for the body, and then some general shapes. So when we're doing sketching in the wild, we look for general shapes to do some gesture sketching. So I'm just going to take my pencil and lightly sketch out this. I see a triangle. You guys see this triangle for the wing? Here's another triangle, and they're symmetrical. So I'm going to try to match up the symmetry here. And this does not have to be perfect. We're doing some light lines. We'll darken the lines as we go. So I'm doing some light lines. I'm blocking in the general shape. And then we've got the lower part of the wing. It's rounded, I notice. And then this one, and this might be a good time to write. I notice the lower wing is rounded. Upper wing is triangular. And while we're drawing, if you make any observations, you can go ahead and write them on your nature journal. And I'm not sure how we have the chat set up, but I think, Nicole, is it set up so that they can chat with you? Or is it going?
They should be able to chat with me. I've listed myself as technical support.
Great.
Rodney, and also we've got Julia, Museum of Natural History. We have had one question from a new nature journaler.
Yeah.
And that's Julie, and she wondered what type of mechanical pencil and journal you prefer.
Oh, you know, you really have to try out what works for you. So I can tell you what I use, but it is by no means the right tool for you necessarily. So this particular pencil is a, what does it say? Zebra M like Mary 701. And it is I like it because it's metal and it has a nice weight. And I'm trying to reduce my use of plastic to help the planet. So that was kind of one of my considerations when I was looking for a mechanical pencil, is not plastic. I wanted metal. So that's why I do this. And it's just the 0.07 lead. It's not a very expensive mechanical pencil. But I also do use the Ticonderoga or Staples,
whatever pencils around. So these are great, right? They're inexpensive, and just have a pencil sharpener and use this. Pencils are really great because then you can use the side, the edges of it, and you can shade, you know, and get some different line thicknesses. You can't do that with a mechanical pencil. So these are great. Notebooks, the best notebook is the one that you're going to use. I'll tell you, the one that I use when I take out in the field is a 7 by 10 inch size. And I would say get the biggest notebook you can, but not so big that you won't take it with you. I take my nature journal wherever I go, so I have it in a bag. I use a spiral mixed media. So my drawings are watercolor. I add watercolor to it. So I use a mixed media paper, but you can use just sketch paper. This is sketch paper, and I use this for my classes. So, you know, I add watercolor, and it's fine. It doesn't, you know, have any problems. So just regular drawing paper is fine. I think the important thing is just to have something. It doesn't have to be fancy. And if you're new, just use what you have. Don't go out and buy anything right now. Just use whatever you have at home. And as you start to draw and get comfortable, you're going to get a better sense of what you want. Right? Like, oh, no, I don't really like this paper. I want it to be thicker, or I want it to be thinner, or gosh, I want something that's a little bit smaller, or a little bit larger. So, you know, whatever, there is no right or wrong. Some people like the bound ones, not the spiral. I personally like the spiral because then I can fold it and set it down flat. You want something with a hard cardboard so that you can use it like an easel when you're out, like hard back when you're outside. Some folks don't like the spiral because if you do only pencil, the pages will rub and they'll smudge. But I'm not using a pencil only. I use a pencil underdrawing, and then I do pen and color over it, so I don't have that problem. So hopefully that answers your question. So sorry, going back to the page. So I'm just going to do some sketches. And one thing that you might consider if you're doing this in live outside is know that the left and the right are identical. So you could just focus on one half of the butterfly. So if we're doing that, I'm going to focus. There's this comes straight out, and it bends a little bit. And I'm going to shape the wing pattern a little bit, and it kind of bumps out at the tip. And it's not pointed, it's kind of rounded at the top. And I curve in. And then looking at this place, I look at the negative space between the upper and the lower wing, and I come back around. So I'm doing a very loose, sketchy style for these journal drawings. I'm going to block in the body. What I see is kind of a bigger body, and then a skinnier abdomen. And maybe I will put in some of these lines. So up here is darker, and then it's got a darker margin, and there aren't too many lines in here, so maybe I'll just draw it in. So here's one long one, and then there's two that go across, and then down below there's one long one that goes in the center. And so with drawing, you don't have to know how to draw a butterfly. If you look at what's in front of you, and then just use your eye to follow along the detail and put them in. All right, so I'm just going to leave it there. Oh, and here's one thing. You guys notice this dot on the lower part of the wing right here? Only the male monarchs have that, so you can tell the male and the female from that. So, all right, so here it is. So I say, oh, it has the dot. So this is male. All right, and then I notice it has two antennae, and oh, it's got spots on his body, spots on the body, and then the black margin has white dots, and maybe some orange windows here. So if I'm out in the field and I'm sketching this butterfly and it's flying fast, I'm going to quickly sketch it with my pencil and use words to describe where the colors are. So the inner wing is kind of a pumpkin orange. And then inside is slightly paler. And that's what I see on this individual. It doesn't mean that all monarchs look like this. So with nature journaling, we draw what we see, not what we think a butterfly is supposed to look like. All right, so see some lines here. Okay, there's my monarch, my first one. Oh, and then another monarch has joined us, and so I'm going to sketch this one. And he has got a long body and two wings that kind of bow down. And this is a little foreshortened, so his abdomen is kind of pointing towards us, so it looks shorter than this butterfly. So I'm going to draw what I see, and it looks shorter. And the wings are coming off to the side, and they're kind of like angled. All right, and then I don't have to do both wings because I know that it's symmetrical. Like, so, you know, this is a tip in nature journaling is you don't have to color every leaf in or every petal or every butterfly wing. If you do one side, it's understood that the other side is the same. So that will save you some time. So here I have my butterfly body and I have the wing, and I'm just gonna block out this darker area and show that it's got a really dark margin here. And oh, here's another male. It's got the dark spot. So I might put in this picture, oh, maybe I'll make a note. So this is a museum specimen. Has fully, how about spread? Fully spread wings. So that's a note for me so that I can remember next time if I see a butterfly with these fully spread wings, oh, I know it's a dead one, or it's a specimen. This is a live one, so this is got a different shape, right? Its wings are kind of swept back. And maybe I'll put some of these lines and see how you can't see all the detail, right, that you can in this first one when it's closed. So I'm just going to draw what I see. All right. And, you know, with nature journaling, you don't have to add color, but you can. So I'm just going to make little circles. I'm going to just do it with pencil for this one. All right, so there's orange spots and white spots. Does anyone notice anything about these that you would put on your page? Or what it reminds you of? I'm going to write, I think these two black lines remind me of a mustache. So I'm just going to put that in. It reminds me of a mustache. Okay. All right, so we're just going to keep moving through some of these. Oh, here's another monarch that's flitted by, and it's landed on this butterfly bush next to us. So I think we're going to sketch this one now. And again, butterflies are symmetrical, so I can start with the middle and block out. So what I'm doing is I'm looking at the angle from the center line to what's going on with this wing, like this wing right here. So it's slightly arching down, and it looks like it's about like, is that's 90. So this is 90 degrees. And so it's about 40, maybe about 45. So I'm gonna angle down both ways, and I'm using a really light touch with my pencil. So what I like to do is just lightly sketch over and over again until the lines start to look right to me. And when you use a light touch, if you make a mistake, you can go over it with additional lines to correct your drawing. So I'm noticing this butterfly looks different from that last one that I did. I wonder if they're just different individuals or if it's just the position. So if you have any questions that pop up, just write them down right next to your picture. Oh, I notice a symmetry in the dots on the body too. That's kind of hard to see. Okay, here's a tip. If you have like a white gel pen, let's see if it'll work on the pencil. You can use a white gel pen and put in little marks. All right, so coming down, and what else do I notice? Oh, this is, wait, is this a male or a female? Guys, take a look. What do you notice?
Female.
Because it doesn't have the dots.
You think so? What's this right here? See right here, the two dots, one on either side? It's very faint, and you know why? It's because it's angled, so you're not seeing it flat out like the museum specimen. So this one is also a male. It's just that it's angled, so you're not seeing the circle. I better erase that because I drew what I thought it was going to look like instead of what it actually is. So the ovals are, so it's kind of like if you're looking at it flat on, a circle is going to look like this, but if the surface is angled, right, then it's gonna change the shape, right? So we're looking at this wing that's angled, and that's why that circle is now more of an oval. It's not as fat as it was on the upper ones. So let's see, and I see this long vein coming out and then just blocking out, okay? And what I might do if this was outside in the field is I'm just going to sketch whatever I can before it flies off. And then I'm going to leave it that way. And then I might put in here, you know, what I remember from the butterfly. Right after it flies away, I'm going to fill in the details and say, okay, I was kind of black. I might write with words. It has orange, oblong openings, or maybe I'll call them ovals, and then these are dark orange, and then some pale orange spots. All right, so this is an observation in nature. It's a direct observation. So when I go home and I don't know what this butterfly is, and I can look in a field guide and I've written down what I was able to identify, and then that way I'll be able to tell, like, oh, what kind of butterfly was that? You know, I can look up in the field guide. So with nature journaling, it doesn't have to be exact. You can just draw what you see, and maybe I'm going to make a note that, you know, what this was. This was on. I'm just going to make this squiggly outline of this flower. On a butterfly bush. All right. Okay. Oh, and look, wait, over there on the other side of the garden, here's another butterfly. All right, let's work on the one on the left. Oh, it's sitting really, really still on that flower. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly circle for the, sorry, move my camera, oval for the body and quick shape of the wing, right? Just really, really quickly sketch out the shape of the wing. Here's the top one. Or we're not here needing to be perfect because it's not going to stay very long. So I'm going to try to sketch as much as I can. I'm going to get the basic body shape, right? And then the body here, I think it's smaller, so I better make that smaller. And oh, look, its legs are sticking into that flower. And wait a minute, what is that? Is that his tongue sticking into the flower? That is way cool. So I might write, sticking its tongue into the flower. And
Is it-
you don't have to know any technical information about butterflies. Like some of you may know it's called a proboscis, but you don't have to know that. You can just write down what you see. You can relate it to a part of your body. So it's sticking its tongue out and lapping up something in the flower. So I'm going to note that. And then what else do we notice about this butterfly?
It looks like it's a female.
Yeah, that's a good observation. What makes you think it's a female?
It has no dots.
Yeah, that's a good observation. So I'm going to put that down. I said, I don't see a dot. No dot makes a female. Do you notice anything about this lower wing? Anyone? You can either type it in, or you can write it in your notebook, like if you see a difference on the wing. Should put too much black in here.
I noticed that it's like a different color from
Yeah.
the other part.
Yes. Yeah, I noticed that too. So this lower wing, right? The lower wing, I'm going to write the lower wing is a lighter orange. It's kind of a peach color, isn't it? So the lower wing is a light orange. What else do you guys notice about this butterfly compared to the other two that we drew that were live?
Loretta notices that its wings are attached to the top of the body, not at all on the bottom.
Oh, you're breaking up. Could you say that one more time?
Oh, sorry about that. Loretta had noticed that the wings are attached to the top of the body, not at all on the bottom section. It looks like the legs are attached to the upper part of the body too.
Yes, that is a great observation. So yeah, put that in your journal. And you know, it might be the angle that it's at, but that's a really good observation. So Loretta said she noticed that the legs were on the upper part of the body, right? So we could say the legs, I'm running out of room here, attached to upper part of body. How about the upper wing? Did anyone notice the difference in color? Like there's these two-toned orange. Like this seems kind of dark up here. So this was a darker orange, and this section here was lighter orange. And maybe I'll add color here. So if you're new to, oh gosh, it's 6:15 already, my goodness. All right, you know what? I'm not going to add color to this because I want to go through one more thing. And I want everyone to look at the next butterfly. All right, let's sketch this
Melinda,
one. Yeah.
I hate to interrupt you, but we got a really great question
Yeah.
from Daniela. Do all butterflies have unique patterns the way that every snowflake is different?
That is a really good question. And I think that you could, so that's a really great nature journal question. I want you to, what was her name? Loretta?
That was Daniela.
Daniela, I want you to write that in your nature journal right now. So any questions that you guys have that pop up, write it down immediately. Put it in your journal, because you will forget, right? Because you start to draw and you think about other things, and you're going to forget these really great questions. And so what you'll do at the end of your nature journal session is you're going to have a lot of great questions that's going to guide you for the next step in learning more about monarchs. So I think that question would be really interesting to observe in nature. So when you're out there and looking at butterflies, notice, see if you can tell the difference. Actually, you know what would be great is if you came to, I don't know if you're local, but if you're near Pacific Grove, when the museum opens again, go and look at that exhibit that I have the photograph of all those monarchs, and take a look and see if there's any variety in the lines and the stripes. And I think that might be a really great way to observe a little bit more. I suspect each individual has a slightly different patterning, even though they're probably very similar in the patterns. Just, you know, individual variation. Okay, so take a look at this butterfly on the right. So before you draw it, just notice like what you see. I see the lower wing is light orange, upper wing has dark orange and light orange. Let's see, what else do we notice about? Oh, look at the body. It has these really large white spots. And what about this lower wing? Does anyone see anything different about this butterfly compared to this butterfly? I'm going to sketch it really quick while you guys are thinking about this.
There's a whole nother row of panels on it.
Aha, yeah, great observation. So I'm going to point out, excuse me, my cat is getting in the way. This line here, isn't it very sneaky? This is not a monarch butterfly. And check out the little, the edge. So on the monarch, they're little polka dots, but on this butterfly, they're like crescents. So this butterfly is called a viceroy, and the viceroy likes to pretend it's a monarch. And so it's a mimic. And so I'm just going to sketch that dark line in here, and then it's got a lot more like these dark veins, and I'm going to put viceroy is a monarch imposter. Okay. And excuse me. I don't, you gotta get down. Sorry. Monarch butterflies are full of this bitter compound because the caterpillars are feeding on milkweed, and milkweed has this bitter compound that is incorporated into the caterpillar, and when it turns into a butterfly, it's sequestered, meaning it's stored in the butterfly. So it becomes a deterrent. So animals, when they try to eat a monarch butterfly, it gives them a big tummy ache. So there's a photograph. Okay, I'm going to zoom forward because we didn't have as much time. So here we go. So the alkaloids in plants make them unpalatable. So here is a stuffed scrub jay eating a monarch wing. And monarchs don't taste very good. So that jay, if it was a live jay and ate a part of the monarch wing, it's going to get a tummy ache, and hopefully it's going to learn that monarchs don't taste good. So that has become a deterrent. And so maybe it's a young jay and he doesn't know that monarchs are not good to eat. And he's going to take one bite of that monarch, and he's not going to forget that. Right? How many of you have done something like that, where you've eaten something you shouldn't have, or eaten too much of something and gotten sick? I know my sister did. She ate too many of one kind of candy, and she'll never eat that candy again. So I'm just going to quickly sketch. Maybe this jay is flying by or is landed on a branch near us, and it took this part of this monarch wing. And scrub jay with monarch wing. All right. All right, so here is an up close. You can see like the legs, and this is a really great photograph, and the spots all over it, and the eyes up here. So you could go through photographs and take a look at monarchs and just practice sketching them. You can draw all of the detail on the spots, or you can just do a nice loose drawing like we've been doing today, pretending like you're out in nature and sketching these butterflies. I think I'm going to do, oh yeah, here's another viceroy here from above, and a monarch, a female monarch on the left. And you can see they're very similar. And if you were a scrub jay, do you think you'd take a risk and take a bite of this monarch? I mean, excuse me, butterfly? Probably not. I think there's enough similarity that it's going to deter anyone from eating them. So it's a really cool strategy on the part of the viceroy.
How do you tell them apart?
Oh, okay. So take a look at, on the right-hand side, do you see on the lower wing this line that goes sideways across the veins?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you can see my arrow. Okay, that's the viceroy. Now let's go over to the monarch. Let's look at the lower wings. Does it have a line that goes across the side?
No.
Yeah, I don't see that. So that's one way that you can tell the viceroy from a monarch. But some other things that we noticed were I think there's differences in the way these veins are.
Yeah, a little bit.
Right? So when we look at the two, and then the dots, the monarch has polka dots, and the viceroy has these moon-shaped crescents. So when we start to look at things carefully, actually when we draw nature, we start to notice things that we wouldn't see otherwise. So if we were to draw this viceroy, I'm going to notice, actually while we're talking, I noticed things, a few more things that I hadn't noticed before. One is that the body is black, right? It's all black. So body is black. This would be a really great, so if you haven't drawn it already, this is one technique we can use in nature journaling as a comparison study. So we can put the monarch on one side, and then we can put the viceroy. Ooh, maybe this will be homework. This might be a really great thing for you guys to do. So go online and look for a picture of a monarch. And now you know that the monarch does not have those sidebar, the bars right across the side. And then get a picture of a viceroy and then draw them here. And then list what you notice. So you could say there's a horizontal bar on the lower wing. Right, just like we were saying, no dots on the body. At least from this photograph, I don't see dots. And this one has dots on body. And, you know, start noticing some of the similarities. Like, what do you notice about the edges? Well, maybe the margin has white spots, and I'm writing quickly so that you can just kind of get an idea, has white crescents. And so see if you can take a look at a couple of these different butterflies and see if you can identify what's different about them, and then draw a picture of each one. And when you're drawing a picture, you're going to be able to see the distinctions more clearly. All right. We just have a few minutes. I just go through a few pictures. You can find a lot of these online too. These are tags that researchers put on the monarchs so that when they get to their destination, they'll know where that butterfly was tagged originally, because they have individual numbers. So it's a really cool thing. Some of the things that we can do to help monarchs, because the monarch, here we go, the Western monarchs. So they are critically low numbers. For the last 2 winters here in California, there were less than 300,000 monarchs. And right now there's a 99% reduction in the entire population from the highest numbers. So we're really like looking at a monarch crash is what the scientists are looking at. So some of the things that you could do to help monarchs, because we can do some things to help. And some of the problems that they're being affected by are their overwintering sites, like Santa Cruz and Pacific Grove and some other places. Their habitats are disappearing and trees are being cut down. So one of the things is to protect those in overwintering sites. And maybe storms have knocked down some of the trees, so there's not as many trees. And monarchs need a very specific habitat with like dappled light and protection from storms. So those overwintering sites are super important. Another thing is that is restoring the habitat along their migration so that they have plenty of flowers that are blooming to provide nectar and food for the adult butterflies. and also appropriate milkweed plants so that the babies have enough food to eat and survive. And like Julia said, reducing our pesticide use, right? When we use chemicals to kill bugs, it also kills like the healthful bugs. So whatever we can to reduce that use is going to be helpful to all of our pollinators. So if you go to the website, I think they're going to pop that in there, the Xerces Monarch Call to Action website. Web page is really informational, has a lot of information, a lot of links on what you can do to help monarchs survive, and so that we can continue to have more monarchs. So with that, we're gonna wrap up and say thank you and come next week for the birds, and I'm gonna hand it back to Julia. I'm gonna stop my share.
Hi, everybody. Yes, I just wanted to say thank you all so much for joining us today and for being on our nature journaling workshop call. I wanted to thank Melinda and Nicole for your partnership with Spark in Nature and the Pacific Grove Museum of Natural History. We have such similar and shared missions that it's such a treat to be able to have us come together and kind of join forces. I wish we could all gather in person, but I'm glad that we are all being safe and we're able to join virtually. I went ahead and we put some links in the chat for you for additional resources on your questions about what we can do to help save the monarch population. The Western monarch population in particular is in dire need and threat of our help as humans. So we appreciate your stewardship of our natural world. We also appreciate you being here and for supporting our missions. If you would like to support monetarily, we went ahead and put our donation links in the chat as well. So you can donate to Spark in Nature so she may continue educating and inspiring those through nature journaling and guided walks, and supporting the PG Museum so we may continue our education programs as well and continue to offer free programs like this. Thank you all so much, and we appreciate you, and have a great rest of your weekend.
Yeah, and I'll just add, keep going out and observing nature. Don't worry about what your drawings look like. And if you want to do more nature journaling, you can find out other events that I host, and where we have more time to go through how to sketch things, and we can share and ask more questions. So this is just to give you a taste of how you can use nature journaling to observe nature. So come back again. We've got 4 more weeks in our series, so we would love to see you guys again. All right,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll see you all next week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah, bye.
Thank you.